here with Jim Elser, the director of the Sustainable Phosphorus Alliance. Jim, when I'm looking at your vision to have abundant phosphorus, which then can be properly used to provide an abundant and nutritious foodstuffs while protecting source waters, is very, it's a significant vision. And certainly I'm looking forward to having the conversation.
Great to be here.
So Jim, if you would give us a little bit of your background, and then give us a background and purpose of the Sustainable Phosphorus Alliance.
Sure. I'm trained as a limnologist and a biogeochemist, so I study lakes, and I spent most of my career studying the effects of nutrients on lakes, both in a fundamental way, because phosphorus is obviously essential for all living things and how ecosystems work. But as we all know, excess phosphorus in water causes dire eutrophication problems with algal blooms that are increasingly important around the world. And so as my career's gone on, I've gotten more engaged with those issues of water quality and phosphorus impacts. And then that draws you out of the lake, of course, into the watershed. And as we now know, a lot of the phosphorus that's degrading water quality is coming from the food system, either in human waste or animal waste, or in non-point source pollution from agricultural fertilizer applications. And so we have this challenge, right, in the world, which is we need to feed and provide nutritious food for a growing population. And to do that requires phosphorus, fertilizer applications, and we also have to sustain suitable drinking water supplies for humanity, as well as the freshwater habitats and biodiversity that lakes, rivers, and streams provide, and coastal oceans as well. So that drew me into this broader question of phosphorus in the food system and how we need to do a better job there and bring solutions forward that can meet those difficult and sometimes conflicting goals, right? To have high agricultural production and good water quality at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, we certainly, many people see that as conflicting, but certainly both are very important. Water for life and also phosphorus for life and an abundant food source. So how about some examples of the kind of work that's being done by the organization?
Yeah, so the Phosphorus Alliance came out of a longer term project called that was funded by the U.S. National Science Foundation for a research coordination network around phosphorus sustainability. That was about a 5-year project, brought people together from around the world working on these issues, but also brought them in contact with stakeholders, water managers, agricultural interests, et cetera. And when that project wrapped up, we wanted to sustain it. And to do that, we created the Sustainable Phosphorus Alliance, which is a members organization of different entities that are involved in the phosphorus sector, including agricultural interests, fertilizer companies, wastewater treatment companies, water managers, and others working in the phosphorus sector. So we brought this group together of members, and we've been running this about 6 or 7 years now. And some of the things we're doing, we're trying to raise awareness of the phosphorus sustainability challenge globally and in North America. We do that through a series of events and products that we produce. One of which is a webinar series, which brings experts together on particular topics. For example, right now we're having one on advanced wastewater treatment and tertiary wastewater treatment and its effectiveness or its potentially spotty effectiveness in certain places in implementation and the challenges about that. We have a program called Phosphorus Science Now that highlights cutting edge papers that are coming out to bring everyone aware of new developments. We have an annual event called the Phosphorus Forum, which brings stakeholders together and academics together to talk about new technologies, new practices, and new opportunities that are coming out in phosphorus. We just recently were involved in combining that Phosphorus Forum in helping to organize the Sustainable Phosphorus Summit, which is a 2 or 3 day event that takes place every 2 or 3 years around the world, different places. And it recently was held together with the Phosphorus Forum at North Carolina State University. And so that was a very nice event, about 150, 200 people attending. We've tried to raise public awareness of phosphorus and things that can be done about it. Our most recent product has been, we call it the 12-step program for a more phosphorus efficient you, which is, how individuals can change their lifestyles or their daily practices in their household to be more responsible with phosphorus and to reduce their phosphorus footprint. So those are just some examples of the things that we're doing in the Phosphorus Alliance.
So what impact have you had? What impact has the Sustainable Phosphorus Alliance had?
We're working hard to make phosphorus more aware, people more aware of phosphorus. I actually just wrote a book with my colleague Phil Hagerth called Phosphorus Past and Future. It was published year before last by Oxford University Press. It's meant for a general audience. It's not a technical book. So we're trying to make people more aware of phosphorus. There's 1.5 pounds of phosphorus in every human's body. And most people, when I say that to them, they're rather surprised that they have 1.5 pounds of phosphorus in their bodies, mostly in your bones. So we're trying to raise awareness of phosphorus, both as how important it is, but also how mismanagement can be so damaging. So awareness raising, when excess phosphorus enters lakes and other aquatic ecosystems, it can drive methane emissions upwards. And methane is a very potent greenhouse gas. We've done that through symposia at the AAAS. We partner with the European Sustainable Phosphorus Platform to produce a series of documents and about that. Probably the biggest impact we've been excited to be engaged with, we were part of and currently are involved in a new National Science Foundation Science and Technology Center, which was funded year before last for $25 million to last for 5 years on phosphorus sustainability. This is headquartered out of North Carolina State University. Arizona State University also has a big piece of it, and several other institutions. Really exciting project with work going on in material science, work going on in crop improvement, work going on in soils, in soil science, work going on wastewater phosphorus recovery, anaerobic digesters. And so this is a pretty exciting thing. And the Phosphorus Alliance is involved in the knowledge transfer and stakeholder engagement part of that big project.
So at Global Waterworks, we bring people together, we connect, and certainly we're doing a great deal of that because we have 3 major focuses, and one of them is lake remediation. Certainly it's an issue that's been identified by EPA in all 50 states. And matter of fact, Monday we were on the phone with the State Department about some issues in Eastern Europe. So how would you see, given that we're focused on certainly water and remediating lakes and making sure the source waters are clean and pure into the future, how would you see our 2 organizations working together?
Well, I think that you have a really impressive global network of people working on these issues. The Phosphorus Alliance is mostly a North American organization, but we have international connections because there are similar enterprises operating in Europe. The global phosphorus sustainability community meets regularly around the world. We've met in China. We're planning a meeting right now in Africa. So phosphorus is a global issue, issue related to water quality, but also a global issue related to food security, right? So as developing world countries become more affluent, as they will, and hopefully they will continue, they're going to increase their phosphorus use to raise their standard of living and their food supplies. As they do that, I would hope that they will be using the most modern and appropriate measures for phosphorus management so that they don't go through a period of major water quality degradation while they're raising up their food system. So we need to help get the word out. And, I can see the Global Waterworks playing a big role in getting more information out there about the best available phosphorus management practices, emerging technologies for phosphorus recycling, which are often connected to wastewater treatment, for example. Ecological sanitation is a place where water health and phosphorus intersect. So that's a big connection there. So I think there's a lot of synergies there. And there's a lot of innovation coming out around the world that can help inform North American practices and knowledge that Global Waterworks can help bring to the Alliance. So I think that there's a lot of great ways that we can align our common interests.
And we look forward to doing that. So what do you see happening with the Sustainable Phosphorus Alliance over that next 2 or 3 years?
Well, as I mentioned, we're closely aligned with this Science Technology Center STEPS out of North Carolina State and Arizona State and other places. So we are building stakeholder engagement, knowledge transfer mechanisms for that center in the various forms, including something we call technical working groups. The concept here is for the engineering and science research to be informed by those who will implement whatever those innovations are, right? So because scientists and academics get excited about things esoterically or theoretically, right? And they do work and then they try to figure out afterwards how it might be useful to someone. That might be more effective though if folks who are implementing work or innovations, in agricultural settings, in wastewater treatment settings, other sorts of places, are there at the beginning to say, well, if this sounds exciting, but if to make it more useful 5 years from now, you should think about this because here's how things work in our industry. And so we're trying to set up the mechanisms by which the work done within the STEPS Center is most effectively aligned with practices and therefore is best positioned to move into implementation quickly. Because the goal of that center is to reduce the reliance on mined phosphorus by 25% and to reduce the loss of phosphorus to water by 25%. In any case, so we have to get stuff going and moving quickly, and there are a lot of promising technologies out there already that are implementable, and so we're excited about that.
Well, Jim, it's been a very good conversation. I appreciate certainly. I think that Global Waterworks, as you mentioned, as we work together, we can educate along the lines of what Sustainable Phosphorus Alliance practices are, and you can do that, within our community. But we can also certainly work with you to achieve your objectives.
There's lots of places room for improvement. So I like to think that there's low-hanging fruit, I think, available. So we have to go after that and then work harder on the rest of the system.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to working with you in the future.
My pleasure, Frank.